If you like our content about training, then you'll love our programming too. Head to the notes below to grab a free week of general physical preparation. You get unlimited access to me and fresh programming every single week for less than $1 a day.
Some people say that the album is dead, but I've actually been crushing a few more albums lately. Two of which was I was going to ask you boys, like, what's an album you've been crushing lately? And I know Harv is an album crusher, but I hope that Jacob just naturally sort of been on a similar wavelength. But one of them a little bit of a minor throwback. One of them's a huge throwback. First one that came to mind that I've been smashing lately was Gang of U's first album, The Positions.
Oh, massive.
Yeah, so good. Like, I was just ripping it, just riding the scooter around close to sunset in Bali, and honestly I had tears in my eyes.
I was ripping some heavy tunes as well.
Oh my God.
Such a vibe. Such a vibe, dude. Crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Just such an intense, such a mature production for like a first album. And I know they had access to a lot of resources, even for a debut album. They had like big record label backing and stuff like that. But the songwriting and yeah, amazing songwriting, amazing production, captured a moment in time. Also, it was a band that like we've sort of been watching since day one as well. So I feel like we've got a bit of extra personal attachment to it. The other one, Origin of Symmetry by Muse. Because especially like Muse is a band that I was really into. It was the first big band I went to see live as a teenager with my mates. And that was when they were touring. Was the album called Supermassive Black Hole? No.
That's Black Holes and Revelations.
Black Holes and Revelations. That's when they were touring that album. And obviously I'd been into them for a couple of months at that point. So I crushed their back catalogue and stuff like that. Obviously Absolution, Origin of Symmetry. I think that's all that. That's like, no, maybe there was another album as well that came out.
Did you ever do Showbiz?
Oh, that was also, so yeah, whatever. Black Holes and Revelations, like fourth or fifth album. And then I think the next album was okay. What was that? Revelations or something like that.
The Resistance?
The Resistance, that's it. Double album. Fucking, was it a double album? Maybe not. No, sorry. But it did feel like their Stadium Arcadium for some reason. And then they really lost me. But then also lost me in a way where the direction their music went post Black Holes and Revelations was like a caricature of all the things that were a little bit cringe about their good stuff even. And it just ruined it all for me.
1,000,000%.
But then just after a solid decade of not listening to any fucking Muse, going back and just listening to things like Origin of Symmetry, so fucking good. So fucking good.
Yeah, I do this. Every now and then I go back and redo Origin of Symmetry. And it's funny because I don't know if you remember this. Origin of Symmetry was one of the like kind of few CDs we had on rotation in my old car when we were doing Maze shit.
Absolutely.
So we used to smash it a lot. And the thing, my opinion with Muse is that when they're at their loudest and most unheld back and just fucking having it, they're at their best. And when they try and be all kind of quiet, it's just they're at their worst basically. And I think Origin of Symmetry was the loudest consistently and like the sickest. And then as time went on, like Absolution, that album's cool, but there's some sick loud moments and there's some quiet ones. I'm like, oh, let's skip that, boys. Get back to the loud stuff.
Because there's too much theory knowledge and just musical freak talent in the one room that when they're constrained by the sensibility of just like a loud pumping rock song, they'll find a way to inject something truly unique into it because it is just so much a part of it. Whereas it's when they're given the space to indulge in that fully, they lose. It's horrible. It's quite heinous.
And then by the time it got to Black Holes and Revelations, I like Assassin is sick and Knights of Sidonia is really cool. And then there's that. The other thing, like it's so not a music song.
Starting to get a little bit like playing with the things that would be not their undoing because they're still commercially like incredibly successful, but like they're undoing from getting my listens.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. But like, they've got like that Starlight song. Like, it's so not a song. It's not a Muse song, and like what I like Muse for, but it's actually such a fucking tune. Like, there's a few songs that album where I'm like, I hate that it's Muse, but I fucking love it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah, and then I'm with you. Then they kind of lost me after that. To be honest, and now they are an actual embarrassment. Like, if you hear a fucking Muse song released in like the last 10 years, you will want to run away.
And I haven't heard it, but I know exactly what it's going to sound like.
It's bad. It's real bad. It's real bad. In fact, The Resistance had that one song that sounds like the fucking Doctor Who theme tune to me.
Oh,
It's got that big synthy bit, and that song actually kind of pumps, to be honest with you.
I
But
forced
anyway,
myself to like that one. I bought that CD. That's when like CD
I did
stores was still existed. So what was that?
Yeah.
2007, maybe.
Uh,
No, it could have been later than
nah.
that.
Yeah, probably. Oh no, you could have been right.
Also, just quickly, I know it's not off Origin of Symmetry or whatever, but it is early catalog. Hysteria. Fucking insane.
That's off Absolution. Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
Absolution is like, for me, Absolution's like half amazing because when it's loud, it's fucking killer, but half of it's like orchestral.
No, you're right. There's some bullshit on the earlier albums, because don't get me wrong, there's some bullshit on Origin of Symmetry, but it's like 70% fucking phenomenal. There's the 10% that sort of sits in the middle, 20% that I'm just got to ignore this. Like, fuck, 7-minute song. Thank you so much. Like, good on you.
I feel like Origin of Symmetry, they used to start with like a classical piano intro and then write some ripping rock song. And then in Absolution, they were like, we're going to play an orchestral piece for 20 minutes and then we'll give you one ripping rock song after it. Like, do you know what I mean? They started separating the two. I think
the Resistance had 3 songs of that to finish it. And you could tell Matt Bellamy was so proud of it. And it was just it sounded like a score of a very boring movie that went nowhere.
Yeah.
It's heavy. Because it's such an ambitious thing. And it's just like, man, like, that's a really good piece. Like, if you're going to write a whole fucking orchestra for a guy in a rock band to do. But it's just like, that really highlighted this. You're not a fucking... What do you call people that arrange that sort of shit? I guess a true classical arranger. Like, it's like you haven't put enough effort in to pull that off.
Yeah. I actually low-key think Showbiz might be their best album, to be honest with you. Like, without ever... like, Origin of Symmetry is probably the GOAT, but like...
You're making me question my pick because I had it in my head as their best album, but now I'm just like, no, it is just my album of the week.
Showbiz has Sunburn. Like Sunburn and Muscle Museum, and like Showbiz just goes fucking hard, you know. Like Sunburn is such a fucking song.
All right, I'm gonna crank Showbiz while I'm cooking dinner. Make a proper assessment. I know it's not Absolution. Absolution, like I can't put an album up there when half of it genuinely sucks.
Well, that's it, and it's a shame because like every time I put on Stockholm Syndrome, I'm just like, dude, Stockholm Syndrome, special place in my heart because I knew the song before I knew it was Muse, and it was Kelly Slater's best ever section in the greatest surf movie of all time, Taylor Steele's Campaign 2, and it's the best surfing that's ever been done, one of the greatest tracks of all time. Oh, God. I got to write a reminder to go watch Campaign 2 this afternoon as well because I'll forget by the end of this podcast. Holy shit. I'm in for a great evening because then we got finals coming up. Harvey, do you have an album that you've just gone back to or you've been pumping lately? That's a really good question. What have I been listening to? I actually have been making a real special effort in the last most of this year. I made a real effort to listen to stuff I don't normally listen to because I'm so bad for sticking in my lane and not branching out at all.
Just going to the liked songs and hitting shuffle.
Like, kinda, yeah. But especially because I do a lot of if I'm working in the shop or working on stuff, I don't really have the time to either take something in properly or be in a zone where there's new shit going on. I almost want that the thing my brain half kind of glosses over. But yeah, I actually was smashing fucking Stormzy's second album the other day and revisited that and was fucking, I was I think this might be his best work ever. And also, you know what? I've been actually smashing Random Access Memories again.
Yeah, okay, nice. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, went back there.
How did you feel about Random Access Memories when it came out?
Is that Daft Punk or no?
Yeah, it was Daft Punk after a very long hiatus. How long was the hiatus between records?
8 years. 8 years, but that's kind of what they do.
I'm shocked that it wasn't over a decade. Right, okay.
Well, it might have been 8 years.
Lucky on it?
Yeah. It might have been, the one before that might have been a live album now I think about it.
It's 50% a Nile Rodgers album.
Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying the episode. I just wanted to take a second to let you know that Angus has poured all of his knowledge on e-commerce and organic content into an ebook, which is now available. If you want to check it out, head to the show notes or the link in Angus's bio. Thanks.
Yeah.
Like,
So
which is
many
like,
sick
it's
features.
whatever. Like, they obviously had an intention. But yeah, so were you heaps into it when it came out?
Yeah. Like, I remember fucking hearing Giorgio by Moroder for the first time and being like, what
The live
is
drums
fucking
in that
happening?
is crazy.
Oh man, just being like the moment where he like the fucking click comes in and he's just like, but you can call me Giorgio. And then the fucking the beat comes in. Oh,
yeah.
mind blowing. I remember hearing that for the first time and being like, no. Like, can you do that?
But okay, so what's so interesting about that album is like exactly what I was describing, like how Muse just, they created too much space for themselves and they couldn't handle it and they fucked it. For a band or like a duo that had just been like so tight with their production, like Daft Punk, they really opened it up to like some crazy shit, like bringing in things like live drums in an era where like music production was very much heading in an opposite direction to that. You had like rock bands that all of a sudden aren't even using live drums and stuff like that. But it was good. Like they could make use of the space. Oh, I don't know, but like I don't need more of that from them. Like if they like on future productions, them, I do just want to go back to that old shit.
It's funny with Daft
very
Punk,
electronic, not human.
the way it felt to me was like, and I don't know, because I swear I remember they'd broken up a while ago, but they're basically a band that makes an album every 10 years anyway, so they're broken up most of the time. But I feel like with Daft Punk, they just kind of know. They wait until they need to set the world back on course again. They wait until shit gets really fucking bad. And then they're like, all right, fucking hell, we'll show you guys what music is again. We'll like point you in the right direction. Then on you go. And that's exactly what they did with Random Access Memories. They were like, do you remember Chic? Do you remember Dancing? Do you know what now? Like, do you remember that whole thing? And they were like, yeah.
And it did set the tone for like the next 5 years of music in the charts.
It's what they do every time. It's what they
Nile
fucking do.
Rodgers was on everything.
Yeah, he fucking was. Like, he was on everything. And even if you think about like all the, oh my God, what's his name? All the Mark Ronson stuff that came afterwards, and like even like, and that's a long time after, but like I feel like they even set the tone
Mark
for,
Ronson
like,
covers album is phenomenal.
Yeah, they set the tone for like the Mark Ronson stuff, the Bruno Mars stuff, even the fact that I don't think Anderson .Paak happens if that Daft Punk album doesn't happen. Like, maybe I'm talking shit, but I feel like they made all that stuff cool again.
I think you're just being horny, but I like it. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I think you can kind of draw lines between it all.
Yeah.
And
no, this is your little music iceberg. I'll let it happen.
And even just the general conversation. Now, I maybe get this more being like in the scene, but like, I think it made it way more acceptable for like the Circle Jerk to move towards things like Snarky Puppy and even Wolfpack. Like, I don't know. There is like a crowd of people that are so into that fucking thing that I don't think get turned on to that.
And that's what I mean. Like, a lot of those sounds were already existing, but they like read the room and they're like a bit of a catalyst for like really just setting that into overdrive.
Like, I think there was always dudes making funky stuff. I think it was always dudes making jazzy stuff. Just no one really gave that much of a shit. And like, Daft Punk, I think, made it okay to do it kind of publicly, like kind of mainstream again. And
Giorgio's phone hadn't rung for years. I know their phone would have been ringing, but like, yeah, I don't know.
But even like Julian Casablancas has a song on there. It's fucking sick.
Yeah, it's crazy feature. What's the full feature list? Nile Rodgers, Julian Casablancas, Giorgio.
Panda Bear, is that his name?
Did Thundercat play a bit of bass on it, or am I talking shit?
I think you're just thinking of Kendrick Lamar.
Thundercat, I just want to party with you guy.
Yeah, and I think I'm getting confused because he was on Pimp a Butterfly.
Yeah, which actually is also funny because I'm like,
is he a bassist?
Probably would have been a bit too silly actually to even play on Random Access Memories. No, I'm just don't Google it anymore.
No, I'm just trying to find the feature list because the feature list is sick. I've got obviously Pharrell Williams is all over it. Pharrell Williams is on there, Giorgio Moroder, Julian Casablancas, Paul Williams.
Which Pharrell went on a huge run after that. What was that last one?
Yeah, he fucking did. Chili Gonzalez, Panda Bear, Todd Edwards, DJ Falcon. Like, yeah, it's fucking huge. Have you watched the interviews with Pharrell about working with them?
No, is it good?
It's sick, but he basically is just like describes exactly what you'd think it would be like, in that like you kind of get this like secret message, and then you rock up to the studio in Paris, and then you kind of like blink and wake up in your hotel room the next day. They're nowhere to be seen, and you just have this fucking hit.
Enigmas. You know what ruined those sorts of interviews for me?
What?
It was listening to Rick Rubin. I listened to. I am such a fan of Rick Rubin's work, or I don't know anymore. I'm a fan of the artists that he's been. He's been affiliated with some really good artists. So, like, you know, there's just in the 90s and the early 2000s, if you just open up the CD case for every big but also fucking awesome album, you just see Rick Rubin's name in the CD case somewhere. Yeah. But then, like, him getting interviewed, everything he says, he's like the biggest just smell in your own farts kind of guy. But I do think I get it. Like, I think sometimes you just need someone who believes in you. And I think he just goes in there and like fillets them. Not literally, but like, I think there's that. So one more thing I will say, and shout out to Jake Walker. This is just one of my high school mates. I don't know if anyone who listens is going to know him. But he pointed it out to me. He's just like, nah, fuck Rick Rubin. He just made every album loud as fuck. And I'm like, oh, right. Like, and he did. When you go back and listen to like what he did for the Chili Peppers, like you listen to the songs and you're like, this verse is like blowing my eardrums out. Like everything that he touched, he just cranked the fucking volume on. And it made a lot of sense. It's just like putting more sugar in the fucking food. Like, it's like conspiracy.
It's that, and it's a weird one because Californication gets discussed a lot because it's like kind of objectively a bad sounding album, in that like it's clipping all over the place. Like it's fucking weird. But like I think Rick Rubin kind of like the Beastie Boys and shit. They were like some of his first work, and I think a lot of that kind of came from a period where the sound was having shit.
Spend $1 million on a producer to have it sound like you recorded it in your garage.
Well, again, and I might be confusing things here, but this was a real, I swear this was an example of like the medium is the message they used to use in uni / I actually think, shout out to Paul Batters, Holy Spirit College, like he fucking big dog. He used to go on this a lot. But I think a lot of that
Paul Batters didn't talk to my class for 2 weeks because April Maciejowski, when he was handing out an assignment, said, "You're going to take another 2 weeks to mark this one, sir." He didn't talk to us for 2 weeks.
Dude, he did some hectic stuff like that when I was there as well. But like, it was so funny because like, I swear, because basically he was the year coordinator for like I'll probably bleep this out, for like a real shit year group. So he was just like, he was our extension English teacher, and he was just nowhere to be seen because he was constantly dealing with fucking dramas. But
it was the year above mine.
Dude, no, it was year 10 when we were in year 12. Anyway,
okay.
he'd rock up once every 2 weeks and like give us all the information we needed to like nail the fucking assignment. And we all did. We all got sick fucking marks. And I learned more in extension English than I earned
in extension subjects. You're relying on the students. Right.
Yeah, totally. But anyway, but basically what he was saying, or / what the medium as a message at uni thing was, they were saying that so much of that early kind of like hip hop and rap music, it came from a scene where there was so much like garage / house parties going on that the natural sound and the way it progressed was with stuff that was crazy distorted and crazy loud because people just fucking cranked it to fucking 12 in a garage. So actually when they then wanted to recreate that sound on the album, they used so much distortion and so much like volume to try and recreate the feeling everyone had been kind of getting from it in a live sense, which was how it was created. So it was actually kind of part of them trying to recreate that whole thing, which is funny.
Is that what 100 gex is, like a third or fourth wave of that same thing?
What's 100 gex?
Don't worry. I don't know. Yeah, fuck no.
But yeah, people have mixed opinions about Rick Rubin.
If you want a quick, I don't know, 100 gex, the only way I can sort of describe it, because there's nothing else I listen to that's similar to it. You got like Fred again on one end of the continuum, and then 100 gex is on the other side of that continuum.
Fred again, sure.
I can't stand that bloke anymore. Some of his earlier releases are the soundtrack of my first trips to Europe, and I hate myself for that, for just being a sucker for that melancholy sound. But yeah, I just can't stand the bloke anymore. No, it's probably not Fred's. He's a good musician. It's just the fucking, I'm being a hipster. No, No,
It's
I'm
just
not. I'm fine
it's
with
a lot of ADHD.
stuff being popular. I don't know. Am I?
It's a lot of ADHD music. Like it's just like a bunch of like ding 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 ding, wom, 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 wom. It's like the same sound over and over again. The ad lib, it's just I don't know. It just spams it. It's the whole song. You know what I mean? Just cutting up audios. It's not my.
I feel like, have you seen the Member Berries episodes of South Park? I feel like it's just heaps like, again, it's just like melancholy EDM on steroids. And I'm a bit of a sucker for it, I guess, but I made myself sick with it now, so I'm detached from that. And I didn't get tickies to the Sydney show, so not that I was even pumping it sort of on my own, but it would have been a good concert. Sorry, that's it. I'm just stinging to go to a big concert.
Speaking of which, they've not announced a venue yet, but Sigur Rós are playing 3 days with an orchestra in Sydney. Like, soon they announced it like yesterday, and I'm so fucking horny for it.
Absolutely not. Fucking
really? I thought you'd get down on that.
No. I don't want. Yeah, sorry, I won't go off. Finish that sentence. Yeah, nah. But I get fair. I'm happy for you. Maybe if I took a heroic dose of mushrooms, like I mean, but then again, it's not about the artist. Like I want to save that experience. I want to go to the Sphere, which we'll also talk about in a second. But I just wanted to do another roundtable. Also, Jacob, have you been bumping any albums lately?
My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy.
Right on.
Yeah, classic.
It's his best album.
That's one of the best albums of all time, I reckon. Not all time, but it's very good.
Shout out to King Crimson.
What's the Childish Gambino one?
Awaken My Love.
Whatever.
Awaken My Love. Another album I've been bumping.
No.
Why?
Whatever.
Tyler the Creator too.
Yeah, I've never smashed a lot of it. He's definitely got some good songs.
Yeah, his latest
album?
and Igor.
Okay.
Igor is really good. But yeah, his latest one's pretty good. It's not as good as Igor, but yeah, been smashing those. And I'm always on the Gen Z rap as well. So,
what do you listen to? If you have to run a hard mile, what do you put on to block out the head noise? It's like
nothing.
Well, just Head Noise Express.
Yeah.
You like
Head
it.
Noise
you
Express.
feed off the head noise.
No, I love it. Yeah.
That voice. Maybe I'm not good enough. Why don't you text me back?
Yeah. I just can't do it. I don't know. Just distracts me from the whole thing.
If you want access to a community of like-minded coaches, head to the notes below and join our free school community. I'm in there every week doing Q&As, and there's plenty of educational content on the way as well.
Yeah.
I went for a silent run a while ago, I think because my AirPods died, and I was like, oh, motherfucker. And it was actually so enjoyable. Like, I fucking loved it.
Yeah, especially the long runs. It's like a therapy session, man.
Big time.
May or may not have cried on one.
It is crazy. Just like the emotional experience of like the GPP spectrum. Like it hits you in so many different ways. Sometimes it gets you in the gym after a big lift. Sometimes it gets you on the run. But it's just like, yeah.
That's hectic and so good and so wholesome. But like I was just laughing because it's the notion of seeing someone running down the street and you drive past them and then they're just like weeping. Like that's just
like it was a
funny
couple of
like
such a good sunset and like probably had a shit week and like I could feel the runner's high kicking in. I'm like, holy shit, this is amazing, you know?
No fucking doubt. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Dude, heaps funny. I had a similar moment. I cried out in the surf in Bali. Like, actually, no, I cried 2 times. One time when like I was out at Bingen and it was just pumping and there was a nice sunset and Jake was on the shore writing emails and I was just sort of thinking about just the sum of it all. But it was heaps crowded, so I had to like sort my shit out because I was like, I don't want to wig anyone out. Because it is weird. Like if I was surfing, just having heaps of fun and someone beside me, I was like, mate, what's going on? Like, but then it was my birthday during the transit from Canggu to Bingen, heading out to the Bukit Peninsula. It was just as we were driving out there, I was just sort of looking at, exploring a new area in a foreign land, going on a surfing adventure. And I sold 20 ebooks that day, so made $2,000. It was my birthday. Fuck. Jacob was flying out the next day, and I was just pumping some music in the back of the Gojek, and yeah, But again, I was like, fuck, gonna wig out the Gojek driver. It's like, gotta.
Yeah, like you could
the
see
beauty
from my
of
point
life.
of view as well. I was like always wondering why Angus was laughing at me, and I'm like, and he was like, "No, I'm just fucking enjoying life, man." Like he's just like, man was just smiling ear to ear the whole time, which is what we love to see. So yeah,
that's why I wanted to ask you, Jacob. Throwing it back to you, what was your favorite memory from Bali? Because we're going to go around favorite memories from the Bali trip, but then for Harvey, it's going to be favorite memory from tour life recently.
Favorite memory from Bali. Getting recognized in that cafe.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, that was
crazy. Yeah, did we tell the story?
Yeah, we've already spoken about it, but that's of course, it's like, because you've never been recognized outside of the country. So, I mean, Jacob does get recognized. You've been interstate, you got recognized, recognized in the local as the GPP guy, but flying out of your country. And that's the thing. It wasn't. Nuts. They did not come up and be like, "Oh, it's Angus and Jacob." It was fully just like GPP. That's Jacob. I was sitting out of sight around the corner.
Yeah, you were. Yeah, it's crazy. But just like the whole waking up, breakfast, gym, just the laptop lifestyle, man. As much as people say it's cringe, fuck, man, it's. Whew.
It hit me today, and it's only because the weather's been fucking horrendous since I got back. So I have been living like a hermit. I've just been locked in, just doing heaps of work. I've only really been sort of going out to the gym because the surf's sort of been shit as well. And I was just like, fuck, like, am I a better person when I'm in Bali? I didn't want to admit it, but I was like, I think I might be a better version of myself in Bali. But again, me and Jake sort of discussed this. We think it's useful to be able to pull the lever when you want, like, because it's what it is. It's environmental change. It's like, it's such a positive stimulus. And I think moving to Bali, we'd lose that, where it is nice to sort of just be like, all right, Jacob, you're in a bit of a rut. I'm in a bit of a rut. Let's just go to our little GPP paradise.
It's the polarity. It's the relative
honestly,
change from the
GPP is pretty big on the Bukit Peninsula. I got recognized once when I was in Canggu, but like, on the Bukit Peninsula, I think, did we get recognized every single day?
Yeah, pretty much. I think you did probably like, what, 5-6 times?
It was because I think like sometimes I think sometimes maybe people see and like have probably seen you before, and either they don't give a fuck or they're just like probably doesn't want to be hassled. They don't know how fucking G'd up I get about it. But then if someone's seen someone go up to you and they know about it, they're more inclined, I think. Because there was one day going through the gym at Bamboo where it was literally just like 3 people in the space of 20 minutes. And I was probably walking around on my tippy toes because I was so excited.
Yeah. The spring on the step.
No, and that's the thing. It's not just this like, people know me. It's just like, no, like, you know, I put my heart and soul into this. Again, because I take the time to chat to everyone because I want to work out like what sort of people am I attracting with the shit that I put out in the universe. And they always get it. The things that they bring up about like what they like about the content are the things that I want people to be picking up on, like train hard, have fun, your body's not fragile, interference effects bullshit, you can train for multiple things, and inspiring personal trainers to act as more like S&C coaches for the general population. And I'm like, yes. It's get fucking G'd up. All right, my favorite memory from Bali it's honestly hard because I want to pick one thing and be true to like, this was my favorite thing about Bali, but it was when the things that I liked about it were combined. When we had a huge day on the tools, I got to surf one of my favorite waves in the world, and just getting to hang out with Jacob and just actually no, okay, so whatever. The surf was fucking amazing. The thing was, I talk, I don't know how much I talk about it publicly, but privately, I talk with all the people in my life about how much I believe in Jacob and how good he's going to be for GPP. It's like, I can't fucking delegate for shit. And I had this vision about how good it could be when I actually just can fucking tell him to do shit and just actually trust him to do that. Again, Jake has been capable of this for fucking years now. It's been my ability to actually just delegate to him. But not only did we overcome those things, I was able to get Jacob's productivity up and actually get him doing tasks and relieving me of certain things so that I can focus on other things. I don't need another ideas man in the business, but like the whole GPP score, like that was Jacob's idea. And just like, just so even my ideas, the way he is he's not just someone to bounce off. He enhances the ideas that I have. And yeah, just to not be looking for that, but then find it and just like, yeah, I'm very, very, that for me was something that I wasn't, because that's it. I expected to get sick waves. I expected it to be very productive on the GPP front, but that was a surprise for me.
If you're sick of going goblin mode on the same 4 accessory exercises at the end of every single session, head to the notes below and grab our free gymnastics program. It'll change the way you think about accessories forever.
Yeah. Also felt like the environment as well allowed me to share my ideas, be a bit more confident. And like the confidence has also come from like you as well with your teachings and like,
but you need to live it. It needs to be a lived experience. Yeah. And I just think like, even though we message each other all the time and stuff like that, well, even that, like sometimes we go days without fucking messaging each other. And whereas, just since the trip, it's just not been the case. And I didn't get sick of you after a week. I can get sick of a lot of cunts after living with them for a week, but still fucking immaculate vibes.
Yeah, it was literally. I would say the same from my end. Yeah. But I'm glad that I can, put the input in and I can see the future and it's going to be pretty good. Yeah.
And also, sure. Harvey, there are a lot of times where we're over there, like just basking in the ocean or like Dreamland Beach or something like that. And we're like, what accommodation are we going to get? Like when we come back with Harvey, like we've got to get something pretty slick. And,
Gus said that about like 7 times.
Goes well. And, the other thing is because there's like health issues. Even just forget about Harvey's health issues. I'm starting to think about just my own, not like health issues, but how me going to countries with dirty drinking water is a threat to my performance. And I think when my performance is up, my GPP scores high, I think it's good for the brand. So maybe with that being factored in and just thinking about the timing of things, obviously I want to go to Europe and then America next Australian winter, so sort of June, July 2025. Maybe Harvey can come along for that, or
fuck yeah,
if things go well. Yes. We'll be churning out content. We want to be doing podcasts and stuff the whole time. And I think, again, Harvey's partial to a trip to Europe and America from time to time. So.
Oh, you're a twist my arm if we must. They should tell me we want to go to Japan. Oh, fucking hell.
Yeah, I know. It's not Japan this time.
Okay, I'll do a Japan trip if we can go to the snow, because Burns will kill me.
Would it? You said the S word and he's gone crazy.
Yeah, I mean, we can go surfing. Like, we can. If you want me to turn everything into a fucking surf trip, I'll do that.
Me? You want to turn everything into a surf
No,
trip?
yeah, I'm trying to be chill about it. I'm trying to be chill about that, because like I'm already thinking about like. I'm probably going to go to New Zealand without Jacob, to be honest. I reckon it'll ruin it for him. Sorry, New Zealand can be an amazing country. It's like the way I holiday in certain countries is just completely incompatible with a lot of people who don't surf. Unless you just like walking around the middle of nowhere. Yeah, no. New Zealand will not be like that. You'll be out in the middle of the bush. Just fucking. It would be a pretty beach. Water would be cold as shit. It'd probably be windy as shit. Probably be rainy as shit. Cost of living's through the fucking roof. Yeah, I don't know. Do you like four-wheel driving on sand?
Nah.
Like, the idea would be that potentially throw in an Auckland seminar. I guess you could just get straight back on the plane or go on your... anyway, whatever. We'll talk about this another time. But yeah, look out for the GPP boys on the road. And that's what I mean. This trip proved to me that the same way that traveling... I mean, it's a necessary part of my work, but then there's this additional benefit to it. Like, it's just inspiring. You get I was going to say it's a 10 XP boost. It's honestly like a 30 XP boost, like just from that environmental change stimulus. And it worked because I was like, maybe it's just for me, but I see it in Jacob as well. And like, I'm sure, Harvey, for you would be the same. Not that you haven't experienced it, because I know you're quite well traveled, but and you have traveled for work, but traveling for this job.
Oh, yeah.
Going on a proper GPP trip.
Amen.
I'll know I've made it when you can tour for a GPP trip. I know I can't ask you to do that yet, but like that's my mental sort of thing.
What do you mean?
I don't know, when a tour comes up, not a big one, not like something on your bucket list. You're like, I've always wanted to open for this band or like play with this group of musicians or something like that. But just like some random tour where they're like, we need a session guitarist. We're doing a lap of Australia. Like, sorry, fucking going to Europe with GPP.
Oh, right. I'm with you.
That's when I'll know I've made it.
That would be sick.
You know, it'd be sick if we start like in the future hiring studios. Harvey be there, kitted out.
You're gonna have to,
Us three live. Finally, there'll be no delay. Everyone will be not talking over each other.
Well, that's another aspect of getting us on the road more. Then it's like, because I really respect what Tim Riley's doing with the Coach 'em Up podcast and what a lot of other big podcasts outside of the fitness space do. Shout out to Melbourne Strength Culture as well. They started doing this where it's like only in-person guests, but then, and that's what, like, Tim Riley's done such a good job. He's also in a hot spot. There is just a lot of people coming through Austin. Obviously very tactically well played by him. But we can overcome that. Obviously, not as many people are coming to where we are. We can make the most of it when it does happen. Obviously, we're willing to do podcasts online, but the more we're traveling and the more we're mobile as a group, the more we can just go to coaches.
Yeah. Podcast tour. Like,
and that's what I mean. If we bring Harvey to the US and he can help us with some of those logistics, then, I mean, like Austin, I know there's so many podcasts we could knock out. New York, there's definitely people that we can talk to, and then especially on the West Coast as well. Obviously, we've got Matt Watson in California, but then all sort of through the middle of America as well. There's a couple of hubs.
And even just from like, and I think it depends on the direction you want to move in, but even just from like like less coaches, more athletes perspective, or like, I don't know, going to cool events, or like, like going to UFC things or whatever, getting into more of that side of it. Like,
the lads at a UFC event would be nasty.
Do you know what I mean? Like, once you're in America, I feel like that shit's happening all the time. Or fucking everywhere.
Well, because one of the things we have to cross off, because I was just like planning to do it with Austin Joachim and whoever else was keen, because I knew he'd be down for it. But also, if you boys are going to be there, just going to see something at the Sphere.
Obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, like anything. Like, I don't care if it's a band that I'm a bit like, whatever.
Either,
as long as it's not something I'm like, this is like utterly shit house. I just want to go inside the Sphere and see that thing. Like, it looks fucking wild.
Insanity. It does.
Which, before we sort of review the Sphere card that happened a week or so ago now, Harvey, what was your favorite thing from tour life recently?
That's actually a good question. So this is going to sound so weird, but like, I swear the thing with tour life is that like, most of what's like, because I actually love it. And I've had a few moments lately where I've been like, I know that anyone else in this situation would be like, this is literally like, if I described it to you, but this is the worst thing I've ever done. But like, there's something about like the consistent fucking like 2 hours of sleep, fucking on a plane at 8 a.m. the next morning thing that just like, I have these moments where I'm like walking out of a hotel after having not slept and the sun's like beaming down and I'm just like,
You've watched way too much Californication, and I know you just, as soon as you get on the plane, you rip open that laptop and you just crushing Californication.
I'm actually trying to sleep when I'm on the plane, to be honest with you. But there was just, so like literally last weekend, we did Melbourne on the Thursday, Ballarat on the Fridays, Sydney on the Saturday, and then I had another gig in Sydney on the Sunday. And like me and Merce, who's the singer, so there's like literally 3 of us on the fucking tour, and me and the singer both had a cold for like the whole thing. So it was like, there was no sleeping. There was not much like breathing going on either. And then, so like, it was just like the deliriousness you get anyway. Like it's Jordan, it's like being at a fucking sleepover with your friends in school, that like sleepless deliriousness. It's like school camp for like weekends and weekends, and then you're playing gigs at the same time. But, so we were in Ballarat, like hadn't slept in days, and we went out to get some food after the fucking gig, and so we ended up at like, there was probably 2 places open in Ballarat at that time.
Yeah,
so we were all
dead.
And like it said on the outside, like when you get to a place and it just like they're like fish and chips, pizza, kebabs, you're like, you can't do any of this that well. Like, anyway, So anyway, we get there and like it says that kind of shit in the sign. We're like, okay, fairly standard. And then I like approach the place and like they've got like the menu and like above the counter, like printed on the fucking wall, like you would do in a place like that. But it is like, I'm not kidding. It was the biggest menu I've ever seen in my fucking life. Like I've never seen a menu take up that kind of size.
Bigger
before.
than a cheap Asian restaurant.
Oh, bigger.
Some of them have got monsters.
Dude, and they had everything. Like they had a burger section. They had pizza. They had pasta. They had kebabs. They had burger deals. They had deluxe burgers. And then like, just down below it, they had like special chicken biryani. Like it made no sense. So anyway, so we approached the thing and like, I'm like, Riley, Riley, this place has the biggest menu I've ever seen in my fucking life. And he was like, all right, whatever. And we get in there. He's like, there's a point where he turned around to me and he's like, my neck is sore trying to look at this menu. Like, this thing is so big. And then anyway, we order our food, we do our thing, and then I'll send this through because I'm just like looking at the menu afterwards. And like, yeah, I've just seen this now. There's a Souvlaki section, there's a Parmas section, there's fucking everything. But anyway, then we order our food and we're waiting for it. And then I see this in the menu and I'm just like, in what world? Like, why do they even have this? Let alone, why is it just like tucked into the middle of the burger section? Like, and at what point in the 100 odd dishes did they decide they needed this on the menu? Like, that is the most insane thing I've ever heard.
No, I think so. In the inner parts of places like Ballarat, basically, but various other towns scattered around Australia. Like I said, far from the beach. There's a lot of camel pride. I think it's like a bit of a country town bit. It's just like, well, let's freak out the city siders and try and feed them some camel. Because I think Australia has the biggest population of camels.
That's crazy, but like, yeah, there's
Camillery's burger.
And like, they didn't even just call it the camel burger. You know what I mean? Like, and they've got it with the lot. You know, it's just,
$12 for a camel burger is pretty cheap in this economy.
The place was very well priced as well. And shocker, the food was actually delicious. Like,
oh, really?
So fucking fantastic. Like, we literally were sitting there eating it the whole time. And we were like, why is this so good?
Because a store like that in the city, it's got to be bullshit. It's like, yeah, every now and then there's a bit of country town magic. Like,
yeah, no, 100%. But it was that point we were so, I got a pizza because there was so much on the menu. I was just like, I need to order something here. I'm just going to like die of like option paralysis. But like, it was, oh man, it was that way where like we were so delirious and like we were all like so like just like ill as well. And we were like just hungry. And I was like, oh, I need to eat this and go to bed because we need to be on a flight. Like the flight is taking off at 8 a.m. And we need to drive to Melbourne. We need to drive to Melbourne in the morning to get on the flight. Like, just fucking grim. But anyway, by that we were just like, me and Riley were just fucking crying. It was fucked up. But yeah, it was just that delay. We're like, is this funny? I really don't know. But we were laughing a lot. It was something else.
Speaking of road trips, rugby strength coach, I think, or maybe not yet. He'll be leaving. He's driving from Melbourne to my house. I think he's going to rock up on Sunday. So, Jacob, are you flying up for that, or are you committed to grand final shit in Melbourne?
Yeah, probably. They're actually saying this live. I was going to tell you today. I'll probably stay up here, unfortunately.
I figured. You always say that. Yeah. It's down there. Anyway, that's fine. But yeah, so look out for some content
as well.
No, yeah, whatever. I'm geographically very inhibited, so I'm always making those kind of fuck ups. We have yapped on a little bit for this episode, but let's give a quick summary of the UFC Noche card. Rough night for the Mexicans. What else can we say about it? Shout out to Diego Lopez. I guess he's a Brazilian who lived in Mexico for a large part of his life, so that counts as a Mexican win.
Yeah, was I the only one who was really surprised at how much that fight seemed to go down on the feet?
Yeah, true.
No. I mean, if you watch their fights, it happens on the feet a lot, despite the fact that they're very good on the ground. A lot of the time, especially when Lopez ends up on the ground, it's through chaos. Like him dropping them or him getting dropped, right. And then there's a ground exchange, and then you see all this grappling. But if there's no chaos that leads to one of them hitting the deck, often you won't see, or them running up against the cage and stuff like that. That will usually lead to him initiating some. And Ortega is the same, because as much as Ortega arguably has the best the best grappling potentially in the UFC, or sorry, I should say the best jiu-jitsu, he has, because that's the difference. He doesn't have overall broad grappling skills. He has jiu-jitsu skills. Brian Ortega is incapable of taking elite fighters down. He either needs to convince them to take him down, or create pressure. It's like, he initiates grappling exchanges, like jiu-jitsu exchanges, from a standing position. He'll just climb up on their neck from a standing position. But and yeah, so it was good seeing Lopez prove a point because he was very vocal about that. He's like, I don't need to keep this on the feet. It's interesting when the trash talk is about like who's willing to take it to the ground because it's usually the opposite way. And I thought he proved his point very well. Like it was crazy seeing Ortega put Lopez in not the most threatening positions, but like there were some bits where my heart rate was elevated. I wasn't calm watching Lopez. I was like, get out, get out, get out, get out, just because that's the instinctive reaction whenever you're going for a fighter who's fighting Ortega. And we've just, where there's so much footage of what his guard can do to people. It's just like so dangerous, so offensive. Constantly. Like he doesn't give people any fucking break. He never settles and relaxes into his position. I think a lot of other UFC fighters could sort of learn from that. Like that's the biggest difference between people who are good off their back versus people who are useless. It's just attempting and there's the belief and constantly without getting yourself pounded out. I guess that's a bit of the skill. Ortega cannot keep losing like this. He either looks great or just gets the absolute shit beat out of him. I mean, even on his come up, even some of his wins, that was kind of his thing. He'd get the absolute shit beaten out of him and then pull a win out of his ass in the third round. He is a world-class fighter. I don't think going up to 155 is going to help him whatsoever. I think we're going to see the same shit from him. I think we're just going to see him get some amazing victories. It's always an entertaining fight, and I fucking love him for that. But my God, he needs some offensive wrestling. My God. His chin is fucking insane. The shot that Lopez hit him with, the two shots, like the first shot was clean as that hook just completely shut his lights out. And then he got hit with the straight right, like right in the face, like a little bit of the forehead region. And yeah, it does seem like it kind of woke him up, but like, Jesus Christ. Yeah, it'd be crazy to see. I mean, I hope his chin doesn't ever crack, but it'll be insane the day if it ever does happen. Because that's up there with like Chito Vera not going down after the O'Malley knee. I would say that, it's hard to say that it's more hectic, but it's up there with that. As far as like shots eaten and not going out.
Yeah. Oh,
so Lopez's main problem right now is there is just congestion in the title picture at featherweight. You've got a title fight currently booked, and off the back, there is potential. No, there's probably not a rematch if Holloway beats Topuria, but there's no way that Lopez gets a shot before Volkanovski because I think the UFC would just be very keen on that. Or, like I said, there's just a lot of congestion in the title picture at featherweight, so he definitely has to fight again, even if it's just to sort of stay active. So, because he seems like he's a fighter that doesn't like taking a lot of time off. So yeah, that's sort of where they're at. Other consequential things, I don't think Sean O'Malley is going to get the instant rematch, especially because he's booking himself in for surgery. He's had that hip labrum issue, which apparently has been bothering him for years. So hopefully he can do a better job at developing his wrestling game. He's not bad. Like his wrestling takedown defense is solid. His jiu-jitsu, I think, is like really good. He's performed really well in some jiu-jitsu competitions and even in the octagon, like a lot of his grappling has looked like good enough, but it's not good enough to deal with someone like when he comes up against a grappling specialist, like it could be something that continually comes up to bite him. Even if the trade-off, we're talking a little bit BPS here. There is this very like BPS aspect of when you're an elite striker and you come up against someone who you know is a way better wrestler, because it just downgrades their striking so much. All of a sudden you get these wrestlers who have the sloppiest fucking striking and they look like a striking savant all of a sudden because everything that they do, anytime they fake a takedown, that elite striker has to respect it so much. So even if the effect of the improved wrestling and that side of things is just that Sean O'Malley can be more confident and play his true game when it comes to the striking. Like,
is the strategy not to worry about the takedown and just work, or not as much?
To fight your fight. Like, you can't completely ignore it because you have to acknowledge the reality of who you're up against. But I think it's like, you want to, what the better approach is, rather than just like having your hands super, I guess having your hands low is a part of it. And a lot of elite strikers just do that regardless, but it's about managing the distance. And so Sean does do this well. Like I said, and I get it's the pressure of Merab. So the difference between the Aljo fight and the Merab fight, the way I see it is Merab fights like a Call of Duty zombie. He's just always close, and like, because a lot of people thought he would get tagged because he's sloppy, and Aljamain's way less sloppy. and picks his shots a lot better. But because O'Malley's footwork was so good and he did such an amazing job of controlling the distance in that first round of that fight, Aljamain just got so frustrated that he took a chance on a really bad shot. And again, first one, Sean O'Malley just capitalized like an absolute sniper. And who knows, maybe if he didn't capitalize on that when the opportunity presented itself, maybe it is that 5-round horrendous fucking nightmare fight for O'Malley in the end. But yeah, I just think because Merab rushes forward like such a zombie, even though his entry is sloppy, it was enough to disrupt O'Malley's composure. Whereas again, Aljo wasn't applying any pressure and he was just sort of looking for an opportunity. Whereas again, Merab creates the opportunity. And again, because he is sort of always in your face, it's like I said, it's so hard to keep that composure when someone's in your face like that, even if you're a way better striker. Well, and again, because then again, he is right there for the single leg.
What are you guys' thoughts on that crash out from Sean O'Malley after the fight where he's like, I won rounds 1, 3, and 5? You could argue 5, but
I don't think it's the craziest argument. I don't agree with it, but it's not like we've had more out of pocket discussions in the MMA community about results going a certain way this year. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, I think that's a lot of media. Like, yeah, and also, I mean, I think to be a fighter at all, let alone to be one that's that good, you almost have to have that delusional
BPS,
self-confidence. You know, like
yeah, I like it in my fighters, like, and it's always confirmation bias because there's always this discussion about people will bring it up with like Ronda Rousey. She had a very Sean O'Malley sort of attitude to her losses, or you could sort of compare it how they'll just sort of write them off. But I think it can go either way. And again, I think it is sort of confirmation bias. People are like, oh, look at Stylebender, how he was like really humble in defeat and then he came back so well. It's like, well, he was really humble in defeat, didn't come back so well against DDP. And so I think for Sean O'Malley, like it's just something that he uses for motivation. He's just like, no, I'm still the man. Because again, you look at Tim Welch's corner work. Tim Welch has been roasted for just like glazing O'Malley, especially in fight week and stuff like that when they're doing pad sessions. Like, oh my God, you hit so hard. Oh, you've got such a fat hog. It's just like, yeah. And again, I think he just knows his athlete. He's just like, Sean doesn't do well when you're talking down to him. It's like he needs his tires pumped up. And it makes sense because when he's at his best, he does have that confident style. He's pretending to shoot hoops in between exchanges. He's doing spins to take the piss out of him when they attempt a spinning thing that misses by a mile. So the whole thing makes a lot of sense to me. It just, again, it looks bad when O'Malley's losing. Everything in MMA looks bad when you lose him because O'Malley's getting his shit pushed in by Merab, and then he sits down on the stool and he's just getting glazed by Tim, or Tim just be like, it's nearly over. But yeah, it sort of like from all they've sort of said about each other, it seems like it is quite deliberate.
Yeah, I think O'Malley's best looks best when he treats the fight like it's play, like as you said, like as soon as like when a fight like Merab comes around and it's like, okay, structure, like this is what we're gonna do, like this. With the Merab fight, there'd be such more of a clearer plan, and you have to stick to this.
This Merab fight and the Aljo fight would have for sure had massive game plans. I think that's really good analysis. Versus Cheeto, I doubt that they like wouldn't have had any plan, but I'm sure it was much more straightforward. Like you can kind of just let O'Malley go out and do his thing. Whereas I agree. Like Merab and also probably Aljo would just be like, this is exactly the moment we're looking for, and the thing we're trying to recognize, and just one shot.
Yeah, and I think O'Malley got like as much as it was a good win, he definitely, got lucky with how exposed he was when he coming in for that.
Yeah, it wasn't all luck, but he was definitely able to capitalize on that opportunity. And who knows if he had another 10 shots at it.
He got served. Absolute silver platter.
You'd love to see him go out 10 times in a row. For someone like Aljo has never shot an entry like that in his fucking life. But then again, I do think it was skill from O'Malley to draw that out of him because, again, there's a reason he's never shot a shot like that because no one's ever been able to manage the distance against him like Sean O'Malley did. Also, I don't want to shit on Merab. I respect the hell out of Merab. It's amazing. He seems like his dreams have come through. Dreams have come true. It's just, I don't want to watch the guy fight. He is high paced, but it's still just boring as shit. He has no ground and pound, no threat of submission. He hasn't had a finish since the Contender Series.
What does he do actually? What does he
Applies
even
pressure
do?
and outworks people. He's just the zone 2 king of MMA.
What is zone 2? See, zone 2 always wins, guys. That's why you need to be
He is the pinnacle
doesn't
of
matter.
weaponized cardio. And like normally when they're
When
a
in doubt,
striker,
zone
when they
2.
weaponize their cardio, like it's really entertaining. Like Max Holloway is someone you could say that weaponizes cardio. Volkanovski also did it to people a lot on the come up, just fucking broke him, just with like stand up pressure, grappling pressure, and everything. But Merab, I would say, is the pinnacle of what we've ever
He is
seen
the goat of that.
truly weaponized cardio.
Yeah.
Oh, Colby Covington. Colby Covington is another example of someone who people just shit on his striking so much, but he was just throwing the kitchen sink at people for like 5 rounds straight. Like he outstruck Robbie Lawler. And again, I don't even know if Robbie suffered a genuine concussive blow that whole fight, but it was just enough to make him have to put his hands up in response to it and make him have to be like, well, I can't take. I think he could have actually taken him endlessly, but yeah.
Just Viet Cong War about it, you know? Just keep pushing. Maybe
not everyone's capable of that though, because no, it's fine. Everyone knows what you mean. We always reference the hormozy thing on this show, but that doesn't work for everyone. Like Conor McGregor is never going to be able to do that. It's you do have to. Everyone's got God-given physical qualities to some extent, and you can always bring physical qualities up. But like someone like Merab is probably always going to struggle to be a knockout striker. He could learn to punch more powerfully, and he probably could get some knockouts if he worked on it more and brought up his
just
technique.
lean into your strength.
There are fighters his size who have terrible punching technique who could just knock people the fuck out. And again, they should probably work on their striking technique as well. But yeah, he doesn't have that like God-given just laying people out power. All right, I might leave it there. See you all next week. We'll have another guest.
We value your input here at the High Performance Podcast. Head to the SpeakPipe link in the notes below and you can leave us a voicemail where you can ask us a question or leave us a topic for us to explore on the show. We hope to hear from you soon.